$500 billion. That is the amount of money Americans have given to telecom companies since the 1990s for the promise of a better, upgraded internet infrastructure. And yet, in 2021, the total percentage of Americans who actually have that upgraded internet is still only that percent. In fact, Americans pay more money for worse internet speeds than any other developed nation. The FCC also estimates around 20 to 30 million Americans just do not have a broadband wireline to their home, meaning the only way they're getting access to their internet is through here. But why does that matter? You are obviously watching this through the internet, right? How bad of a problem can this really be? I want to get into a scandal that nobody really talks about because nobody really understands it. Why does our American internet suck compared to the rest of the world, and what can we do about it? Let's go. The internet is pretty freaking cool. I think we can all agree on that. You can use it to work remotely, go to school online, talk to your doctor, find a date, watch a movie, learn a skill. You get the picture. And the majority of Americans are getting this through a copper wire internet connection. That is a wire that's coming from your internet service provider, goes right to your home or apartment, syncs up to your modem, which sometimes is connected to a router, and your phone or your computer is going to be connected to that. Where did that copper wire come from? What is that infrastructure based out of? Let's go a little bit back into the history. Back in 1934, the Communication Act passes. And this is a bill that basically requires, no matter where you live in America, rural or urban, you are entitled to a landline at your house at a fair and reasonable price. And this landline actually gets locked so that everybody is paying the exact same rate. Enter in Al Gore.
Last January, I outlined the administration's proposal to reform telecommunications policy. I challenged the telecommunications industry to wire not only every school, but every classroom, every library, every hospital and clinic in our nation within the next 5 years. It's easily achievable. It can and must be done.
So Al Gore comes onto the political scene and he tells America, hey, we should upgrade all of this copper wire internet for fiber optic wire. And by doing so, we would be future-proofing America and upgrading this for, decades to come.
We have the technology. There is nothing especially complicated about performing that feat today. What we are missing is the infrastructure.
Let's do a quick comparison between fiber optic and copper wire. On the left-hand side, you have copper wire, which you can get speeds up to 700 megabits per second. It has a life cycle of about 5 years. It's heavy, it's kind of fragile. It uses a lot of energy. It's also susceptible to tapping and MERFI interference. And on the other side, you have fiber optic wire. Fiber optic wire has 1,000 times more bandwidth than copper wire. It's lightweight, it's reliable, less energy per user, and it has a life cycle of 50 years, literally 10 times greater than copper wire. Fiber optic is literally better than copper wire in every metric that you measure it. It's also cheaper long term because you're spending less on maintenance costs having to upkeep it, since it has such a much longer life cycle than copper wire. The best part about fiber optic wire though, we haven't even scratched the surface of its capabilities. We're at the same point where we were in the 1930s, where everybody was starting to understand about electricity at the time. Wow, electricity is cool, I can use it to light my home. They didn't quite comprehend that in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, so much of our life would be transformed by this technology. That's where we are with fiber optic internet. So when Al Gore introduces this American information superhighway vision, Americans are enamored. Everybody's loving this. And we start imagining this tech future for Americans. It's incredible how our country is going to look like in 10 to 15 years. But telecom companies at this time saw something else. lots of opportunity. The telecom companies are like, hey, government, come on. You don't need to do this yourself. You're government. We're the private sector. How about you kind of deregulate us a little bit, make it easier for us to do our job, maybe throw some tax write-offs, and we'll build it. And we'll build it even better than what you have imagined. And the government looked at that and they said, okay. So the Telecommunications Act of 1996 passes. And what you see start to happen is telecom companies change their strategy. They start looking all across the US for regions that they could own. And they start buying smaller internet service providers to consolidate the market. Once they own an entire region, they start raising their prices while marketing that, hey, we're raising these rates because we want to build this fiber optic infrastructure that Americans want. What actually happens is these rates never go down. In fact, we're still paying for these high rates today, except the infrastructure, this fiber optic infrastructure that was promised, was never actually built. What actually happened was these telecom companies lobby throughout the 2000s and even the mid-2010s to lower the speed requirements that they originally had promised, and therefore getting them off the hook. Instead, they just make small incremental changes to the existing copper wire infrastructure, the one that was originally meant for landlines, and pocketed the rest of the money. So really, the last 20 years was a slow motion bait and switch. Telecom companies jumped on the bandwagon of this fiber optic future for America. They lied about building it. And now we have the same network we've had since the 1930s with some nominal improvements. And yet we're paying the highest amount for the lowest speeds in the developed world. We actually have a governing body that's supposed to be on our side for this, and they're called the FCC, which stands for the Federal Communications Commission. But as we've seen in our history, they tend to favor telecom companies over the American people. Do you remember Ajit Pai? Many low to middle income communities all across America have gone decades without really any increases or upgrades to their internet infrastructure. These communities have been ignored for decades. And because it's not profitable for these companies to invest in a better infrastructure for these communities, they're just left abandoned without anybody to help them get into this new digital economy. Corporations should not hold the keys to opportunities for Americans. And fortunately, we can do something about that. All across the United States, more and more cities are embracing local, municipal, fiber optic networks. Some of the biggest examples are cities like Chattanooga, Tennessee, who in 2014 finished building their own fiber optic internet. Since then, they have pumped more than $800 million into their economy and created competition amongst local internet service providers to offer high-speed fiber internet at really affordable rates.
A city called Chattanooga.
The data shows that cities that embrace local municipal fiber optic are giving their cities a competitive advantage in tomorrow's digital economy. If you live in an area that does not currently offer fiber optic internet, talk to your local representatives and council members. Push for a feasibility study to be conducted in your area. It doesn't matter how rural. The important thing here is making your voice heard that this is a service that's essential to the growth of your community. The communities that embrace fiber optic internet today will be the cutting edge communities of tomorrow.
Freely available information is important to the future of our country. We cannot and we will not hold it back, and we will ensure that it is developed according to the public interest.